In economics terms, we call this capture.
Mm-hmm.
Capture theory famously was really coined by George Stigler in the 70s. Actually, what's funny, in George Stigler's original paper, 1971, about capture, he talks about NASDAQ rules being written for the benefit of the industry. People often forget that part of Stigler's paper, but he won a Nobel Prize for talking about capture theory, among other things. And Reg Show is a perfect example. It sometimes captures an explicit, sometimes it's implicit. Just regulators spend all their time with their buddies in industry, and they think like them. You might call that cognitive capture.
Yeah.
But Reg Show was written for the benefit of SIFMA, SIA at the time, the Securities Industry Association, now SIFMA. Reg Show was written for the benefit of SIFMA, not for retail clients.
Yeah, and so another funny story there at the SEC very recently, talking with an SEC staffer, and he basically said, you guys got to be here more because SIFMA might as well have a satellite office at the SEC.
Oh, yeah. No. Every meeting I ever went into the SEC or on Capitol Hill, I would leave, and SIFMA's lead attorney was sitting there outside the office. I won't say his name, but he was in every meeting, following me, preceding me, going and saying, these people are crazy. This is how the world really works.
Yeah.
Gandhi had this phrase, first they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then they fight you, then you win.
Yeah.
And that was our progression with Reg Show, because for years the regulators acted like this wasn't a problem. They would laugh at me in my face in meetings. I would have chief economists of the SEC laugh at me saying, naked short selling doesn't matter for prices, for market price. Efficient market hypothesis tells us naked short selling doesn't matter.
Right.
And
drastically increasing the supply of something can't possibly affect the price.
Incidentally, that same person wound up, when he eventually left the SEC, was an expert witness for the defense in a major naked short selling case, revolving door. But in 2008, this is the punchline to the joke. And if your audience doesn't remember anything, remember this. You have to remember this. They had for years laughed at us and pretended like this wasn't a problem. It was corner cases. You're all crazy. You're mad that your stock price has gone down. These are crappy companies. Remember, this is Krispy Kreme, Netflix. It wasn't just,
Overstock was a big one of them, right?
Overstock, of course, was the big one. And I worked closely with the folks from Overstock for many of those years. In June of 2008, all of a sudden, they started listening to us because people were concerned about serious market events. And the SEC and Chris Cox and the SEC all of a sudden banned naked short selling, i.e. they required a pre-borrow for short sales, not in every stock,
just in the bank,
but in the stocks of the 17 primary dealers, that is the banks that have access to the Fed that are buying treasuries, plus Fannie and Freddie. So it was 19 tickers, 17 primary dealers, plus Fannie and Freddie Mac. And that was it. And I remember sitting with a friend of mine in office, and we just couldn't believe it, because for years they pretended like we were the crazy ones. Yeah. Then all of a sudden they don't just agree with us; they agree to us to an absurd degree. They do exactly what we've been asking for, but only in the stocks of the companies that have been facilitating the naked short selling for all those years.
You can't write this shit, right?
No, you can't. I mean, if you wrote that in the script, people would say, "Well, that's lazy writing." Yeah. You can't. That's lazy writing. But no, life is lazy writing. That'll be my tombstone. Life is lazy writing.